Chapter 3 Ruling the Countryside. Crops for Europe. Hi, in this lesson we are going to discuss the impacts of crop production by Britishers in India. Till now, India's countryside or the rural area was mainly considered for revenue generation. But slowly, British realized that they could even grow crops in India which are useful for Europe, and it all started during the 18th century. Later on, they began to grow sugarcane in Uttar Pradesh, tea in Assam, jute in Bengal, and so on. Now coming to our main crop, indigo. What is indigo? It is nothing but a blue-colored dye common in the 19th century with high demand. India was considered as the largest supplier of indigo throughout the world at that time. This indigo was unique because it can only be grown in tropical regions, that is, places near to the equator. In the 19th century, French planters produced indigo and sugar in the French colony of Saint Dominique in the Caribbean islands. In 1791, African slaves in plantation rebelled, and in 1792, slavery abolished in French colonies, leading to the collapse in the plantation. Therefore, they found India as a good ground for growing indigo. If we look into 1788, there was 30% of indigo that was exported from India, and this increased to 95% by 1810. So what was the idea of East India Company? The company invested more on the indigo plantation. Even many officers employed there left their job to start working at indigo farms. They even purchased land for indigo cultivation. This indigo cultivation comes into two groups. One is niche and the other rarity. Niche was a kind of meager cultivation. So if one has a cultivation area, he has only 25% as niche and the remaining as rarity. Now there were many problems associated with this niche cultivation. First of all, this indigo plantation was difficult to expand. If a planter has a piece of land suitable for indigo cultivation, he looks for large compact blocks within this land so that he could plant indigo. But what they get was small plots of lands scattered all over the place. So it became a problem for the planters to expand the area to cultivate indigo, and these small-scale plots had to be brought closer to the indigo factory where the processing is done. This required labor mobilization, which was never easy. Secondly, a large plantation requires a vast number of laborers, but the laborers were quite small because peasants were actually busy with rice cultivation, so laborers were hard to find. Another major problem was it always required a lot of plough and bullocks. Again, 1 bigha, that is 1/3 of an acre, required 2 ploughs. Investing on the purchasing of ploughs and the maintenance of this plough was a big problem. This resulted in huge investments and maintenance issues. So what came up was rarity system. In rarity system, cultivation is done on the planter's own land. Planters force the rights to sign a contract or satta with them. Sometimes they pressurize the village headman to sign the contract on behalf of the rights. Under this contract, they get cash in advance at low interest, but the land committed the right to cultivate indigo on at least 25% of the land. The planter gives them seed, instruments, and drill, while the cultivators prepared the soil, sowed the seed, and looked after the crop. This cultivated indigo again went to the indigo factory, but again the price was very low as compared to the international market. So a lot of indigo was exported from India at that time. Still, indigo suffered a huge problem because the roots of indigo go in deep and exhaust the fertility of the soil. Thus, the soil became not good anymore for rice cultivation. Meanwhile, Indians realized that rice is more important than indigo. After an indigo harvest, the land could not be sown with rice. Even after the indigo was grown, it was a tedious process of processing the indigo. So the rice or cultivators rebelled and said they would not grow indigo anymore. This is not just because they had to pay high rents, but also to grow a cash crop like indigo, which is not even a food crop for their survival.